Well, what's going on, family? It's your main man, Joe Dupree, 100 BLK, the Black Station. Edward J. Brown in the building. Another Wellness Wednesday. We're about 15 minutes behind schedule, but nevertheless, we kind of like the load. We might not come when you want us, but we always
on time.
on time. On time. So last week we talked about the slap that was heard around the world. And this week, uh, we're going to have some conversation about people say you said it last week very well. Sticks and stones might break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's what they say, but that's a lie. Yeah. That's a lie. Words hurt a great deal. So today I winded up in a situation that I think I would like to talk about because I think a lot of people need to have these conversations. Mm-hmm. You cannot control what other people say or do.
You cannot.
All you can do is control your response to what they say or do.
Correct. That's correct.
And the craziness about it is sometimes we don't respond correctly to what people say or do to us.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead on and pick up on that. I had a student last night when she came into the classroom. She said, "I've been waiting to talk to you about what y'all talked about on that podcast last week, and I just can't believe some of the things that y'all said." So, as we started to, elaborate and explain, she realized that what I was saying, she said, "I don't believe you not for a brother who defends a woman." I said, well, first of all, what you got to understand is when you say someone is defending someone, then that means there is a threat. There is a threat somewhere. I said, now, Jada was under no threat. Will Smith responded to how he felt about a situation. He responded to his feelings. So now, taking what you just said, we have no control over the stimuli. All we have control over is how we respond to the stimuli. Now, if you said, Brother Brown, I think you ugly. The stimuli is, well, he just said he think I'm ugly. My response is, I really don't give a damn what Joe think. I like the way I look.
Right.
That's my response. Another response could be like, well, I think you ugly. A response could be, I get angry. A response could be, I cry. There could be a number of responses, but I have the control over how I choose to respond to any given stimuli. So my response to the young lady last night was, so if you are a supporter of, if you step on my brand new Jordans, I can shoot you. Well, no, I think that'd be a little extreme. As do we believe Will Smith being angry at something that was said to be responded with violence.
Correct.
So now we're sitting here talking about we have control over how we respond. Yes, we do. We do. But one of the things in regards to that is we never know how we're going to feel about what happens. See, I think that's what we need to look at. Yes, we have control over how we respond, but what do we do about how we feel?
Right.
Because majority of the reaction that we give is based on how we feel. Because that's why things get so peculiar when someone is super mad and they mad, but they laughing. Boy, well, what you laughing at? I know you're pissed.
Right.
But what you laughing? That's because the response does not actually coincide with how they feeling. So now, people always say to me, well, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. No, you're not. Because you had no intention, you had no idea that this particular thing may hurt my feelings. Sometimes you do. That's when the intent is malicious. You intend to hurt my feelings.
Mm.
So we have to sit here and start to look at and stop blaming people for the way we respond. Because how we respond solely lies on us.
Correct.
But that's not the way it's not that easy, because we don't want to look like we don't have control of our emotions, so we blame other people. And we see that in the cycle of abuse, especially in domestic violence. You know, the person will say, well, and you notice I didn't say the man, because men are victims of domestic violence as well.
Correct.
The individual will say, well, if you didn't make me mad, then I wouldn't do what I did. Well, you could have done a whole bunch of things. You didn't have to do what you did. You chose to do what you did. And that is where we have a problem with individuals who will not take responsibility for their actions.
Correct.
Even my son, I used to tell my son, I know you're mad. I know you're angry. But you cannot respond that way. See, because the wrong response will make a bad situation a lot worse.
Correct. Correct.
You know, but again, as I just saw a comment made, you have to understand sometimes, and this is where parenting comes in. And baby, I had a long meeting today at the school board in regards to some things that's going to happen with parenting in the area. We learn behavior from environmental factors. If you come from a house full of yellers, 9 out of 10 times,
you gonna yell. You gonna yell.
That's your response.
Right.
You know,
right.
If you come from a house of hitters, it's a high probability you'll be a hitter.
Right.
So we definitely have to take into account, rearing. We learn how to respond based on things that we've experienced, things we've witnessed, things we've observed. We cannot sit here and say, well, I don't know where I got that from. I bet if we sit in a counseling session and you give me an hour, I could tell you exactly where you got that from.
And see, that's why we say on Wellness Wednesdays, your mental health matters, because the truth about the matter is there are a lot of things, and I just put up the website. You should see it, positivechoicescounseling.org. Go there for all your mental health needs, especially when it comes to counseling. Because many a times we shun that in our communities, in communities of color. We don't want to talk about it. We want to talk about it on social media. We want to talk about it in the court of public opinion, but we don't want to talk about it with a professional that can give us a resolution that the situation no longer exists. It's like some of us love drama. We love the drama. We want the drama to be a part of our lives. We really don't want to fix the drama. The more drama, the better we feel. The more drama, the more relevance we feel. It ceases to amaze me how some folk will always post drama. I have people that I watch on social media, and I say to myself, every time I see you on a live, every time I see you with a situation or circumstances, somebody is either coming at you and you're having to defend your name, your honor, you're having to do this. And I'm like, when does it come a time that you just say, you know what? I'm not responding to I'm not responding to anything that is being said on this situation, this circumstances, or this subject. And the craziest thing is people wave all type of banners to say that they defending themselves for this reason or that reason. I believe everything doesn't demand or command a response.
At all the time.
Period.
And when you start to get those type of people, Brother Dupree, this is what I always say. Be very weary of people where drama gives them purpose.
Mm.
Now, what I mean by that, that's those people where you can have the most harmonious of environments. And when they come around, the first thing they said, it's boring. Well, what's boring about it? We listening, we relaxing, everybody's vibing, everything's good. Yeah, I'm just, I don't know, this kind of bougie for me. Well, what do you need? Do you need people yelling and arguing and fighting going on? Some people have gotten so used to drama and confusion and chaos in their life that gives their life purpose. They have no idea how to function in a harmonious environment.
Mm.
You know, that's the, and I remember being a kid and I had a friend, and my dad used to always say, watch that fella. And I'm like, what do you mean? He said, he always into something. So we get to be in the 10th grade and we go to a dance. And we all got our, you know, our cologne, our gray flannel. Back in the day, we was dressed all nice. And this brother said, look how they looking at us. And we all looking at the girls. And we like, well, who, what you talking? Them dudes over there. Man, we ain't paying attention to them. And we was like, yo, I'm gonna ask her to dance. You going? And he kept saying they still looking. And we, after a while, we kept saying, who's still looking? What are you talking about? You know, those dudes over in the corner. And it made me immediately think about what my dad said. The four of us, three of us are looking to find a girl to go dance with. He looking at the dudes in the corner.
Right. Hey, Brother Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Albert Einstein to me said it best, and I posted this some days ago. And I'm gonna kind of rephrase this. Albert Einstein said, stay away from certain types of people and keep your eye on these type of people. The type of people that have a problem
for every solution.
For every solution.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some people cannot deal with not having no drama
in their life.
And you know, it's amazing because let's just be real about it. In these days and times with social media platforms, blogging, all this good stuff, some people have literally got famous off of talking about themselves and other folk.
Absolutely.
You know, some folk have to always be in the midst of the conversation as the protagonist, as the agitator, as the individual who has always got something to say about something. And then here's the craziest thing. Those people are quick to play the victim when folks start talking about them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, when they'll talk about everybody, you know, I have a simple saying. If I pull a you on you, how would you feel?
One of my favorite memes that I have in my little repertoire is one with Bernie Mac, has this real look on his face. And the caption reads, now you just finished telling me everybody business. And now you're going to ask me how I'm doing? Fine, thank you very much.
Right.
You know, I'd be doggone if I tell you any of my business, you just finished running everybody's pedigree down to me. We have to get to the point where we get comfortable. You know, now we talking about these type of folks, but there's so many different versions of these people, you know, and we use it. You can look at it by, you know, folks and look at the vacations they take.
Right.
You know, I saw somebody say it today. The best thing to do is nothing. Now, I know people that just hated going to Jamaica. It was nothing to do. All we did was sit around on the beach and ate good food and drank. It was so boring. But they love Vegas because there's always something going on in Vegas. It's always popping. New York is always popping. You know, and I was like, at a certain age, I got to the point that I want to do as little as possible on vacation.
Correct.
Not everybody is that way, Brother Dupree.
Correct.
Not everybody is comfortable in those situations where there is peace and harmony. Now I'm about to throw you, and my colleagues always say, I hope you don't make a whole bunch of little U's up there at Alcorn. You know, here's something that I want you to pay attention to. People have a problem with silence. If you think I'm kidding, watch when you get on the elevator and there's more than 3 or 4 people, and there's nobody saying anything. Watch people's facial expressions, how they start looking around. They get very uncomfortable with the silence. So you might have that person that'll say something. Hey, so where you from?
Right.
How you guys doing? Because they're uneasy with saying nothing.
Correct.
I could ride from New Orleans to Dallas. That's a 5-6 hour ride.
Correct.
And not have the radio on. And be okay with it.
Right.
My mind will think about a million different things, but there's a lot of people that have a problem with that. So when we start looking at why we respond to certain things, you have to be that individual that looks at yourself and say, well, I'm okay with peace. I'm okay with harmony.
Correct.
I'm okay with doing nothing.
Right. And that's where, like I said, I know we hadn't talked about what we were going to discuss tonight on this Wellness Wednesday, but we have to talk about your ability to control your responses to everything, because there's cause and effects and there's consequences to everything. To every move on the chessboard, there's a counter move. And we've got to really start getting to the place as a people that we have to wake up and begin to start dealing with self. Some of us are so busy criticizing everyone else, we haven't taken time out to look in the mirror and criticize the man in the mirror. You can't be the critic of all, but not see. You can't take, as I hate to get spiritual here, somebody may say, well, you mean biblical. Same thing. Well, not really. Let me get both. The Bible says, I dare you remove a small piece of wood out of my eye when there's a 2x4 plank in your eye. So what we really need to start doing, and something today I had to really think about, if I'm really busy taking care of me, correcting me, getting myself together and trying to be the best me I can be, the best you, be the best you in 22, if that's really what I'm doing, I ain't got time to be doing anything else except dealing with me. And I'm seizing this moment to really check a few folk to say, your problem is you in everybody else's business, but you ain't even in your own business.
Yeah. You know how a person that's a mover and a shaker? They don't have time for nonsense. They're too busy doing things.
Right.
If you find yourself with a whole lot of time to talk about folks, to talk about how bad things are, then you're not doing productive stuff.
Right.
It's time, but and as a person that deals with addictive disorders and things like that, one of the first things we tell addicts is all of that time that you spent trying to get high and looking for ways to get money to get high, you got to find ways to fill that time up now.
Right.
So for me, I started saying, I look at myself in my battle with sweets and staying in shape. And I started saying, all of the time I used to spend on the cookie aisle and on the donut aisle, and if I spend as much time on the vegetable aisle, I may do better. On the fruit aisle, I may do better. All that time I laid in my recliner, maybe if I sat up and did a sit-up or two while I was watching the game, things may be better. So now I find myself in the middle of just walking into the kitchen. I drop down and do 10 push-ups. It didn't take me but 10 seconds.
Right. Now, let's talk about this. Basically, what you're saying, if I broke it down, is you are what you eat.
Absolutely.
So watch this. So that means, family, we need to watch what we ingest ourselves. Absolutely. We need to watch what comes through our eye gates, our ear gates, what we put in our mouths. And I mean, this is on more levels than just the physical level. Spiritually, you got to watch what you're looking at, what you're listening to, what you allow to be poured into you. Because the biggest problem is a lot of us is full of mess. And if you got mess in, it's going to be mess out. Listen.
Watch it. Brother Dupree, what do you believe are the number one shows in the African American community.
Come on. Come
These
on.
housewives shows, these shows where you're gonna have some water being thrown,
Right.
some words being thrown,
So
but
hold it. Maybe some hands be hold it.
some hands
You
being
know
thrown.
what one of the biggest sayings in some of the reality shows is don't make me put these paws on
Don't
you.
make me put these paws up. What the song say? Try Jesus.
But don't try
Not
me.
me, because
That's
I
it.
fight.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But
So
we have to start looking at what we put on television and what we put in our music and what we surround and allow in our households, because that energy is real.
right.
What you allow in yourself, we call it transference and countertransference. You wake up feeling wonderful. Next thing you know, you get in the car and you start listening to some kind of music and saying all kind of negative. Before you know it, you don't feel as good as you did. All I'm saying is, I don't understand how you expect to put negative ingredients into a recipe and expect a positive product.
Come on. Now hold it. You need let's say that one more again. For those who are all the way in the back in the cheap seats at the top of the dome in the 600 section. Say that to them one more time.
You cannot create something with negative ingredients and expect a positive product.
You can't. You can't.
If I put spoiled milk in my cake,
come on,
rotten eggs in my cake,
come on,
and whip it all up,
come on,
and put it in the oven, and it come out, it look beautiful. And the minute I slice a piece and put it in my mouth, I'm about to throw up on the floor.
Now, that's a very good point that folks need to catch here. In other words, it can look good.
It can look good.
It can be properly put together with the proper amount of ingredients. But if the ingredients are bad ingredients, see, too many of us try to put a good look on a thing that ain't really, when you really get down to cutting into the thing, the outside look does not equate to the taste of the thing. And we got to get real with this. And you know, one of the things I've got to really speak truth on is too many of us, especially us men, especially us people of color, we too busy. We crown folks and we cape folks who ain't earned one Superman or one Superwoman quality and have not earned the title King or Queen. Guess what? Those titles are not given. Those titles are earned.
Exactly. You know, we look at Barack Obama. We didn't just pick him and call him president.
Come on.
He earned the position of president of the United States.
Come on.
So I gotta say, I have to give this story. I was a young therapist. I was going just fresh out of Southern University. I was gonna save the world, and I got a job at a school. One of the schools that was really one of the Booker T. Washington High School. And at that time, Booker T was in the middle of the Calliope and the Melpomene Project. It sat right in the
Calliope. Now,
the Booker T. Washington sat in the middle of the Calliope and the Melpomene Project. So I go there on the first day of school, and baby, it's chaos in the office. And there's always that one lady that been there a while, and she running it, man. Look, you go over there. Come here, baby. I got your schedule. And when I walked up, she said, well, how can I help you? I said, well, I'm the school. Look, you just going to have to wait over there until I get to you. I said, okay. All of a sudden, this lady comes in, and she pushes this little boy in. And she said, he got a 3-day suspension. So I looked, and she said, all right, I'll be with you in a second. Sit down, baby, over there. So I'm sitting there saying, how do you get suspended on the first day of school? Okay. This little boy had just cursed out the principal, the brand new principal. Now here's the story. She said, look, you take him, you the counselor. Go in there, you need to call his mom, somebody come pick him up. We go into the room. I said, yo, man, what's going on? Man, that man, he did this. I told him to kiss my ass. Okay. Called the principal all kind of names. About an hour later, in walks his mother. I get up. I said, can I speak to you outside for a second? She had on a nice little suit, a pantsuit, with the briefcase purse, and she was all, I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do with him. He's so angry. What happened? I said, well, he cursed out the principal and they done sent him home for 3 days. I just don't know where that boy get that from, why he's so angry. What's wrong? I tried to get him involved in everything. And then she said, where is he? I said, well, we're going to go in here and we're going to sit down and talk in front of him in a minute. Okay. When I opened the door and she went in, she said, you little motherfucker. And she starts swinging.
Oh, no.
And I jump out the way. I'm only 23 years old. I said, oh, Lord. And you know the first words that went through my head? You don't know where he get it from?
Right.
You
right.
have no idea where he learned this from?
Right. That part. Listen. You brought up earlier in the conversation of this Wellness Wednesday about parenting. Mm-hmm. Listen, y'all, 2 words that we're going to have to start using a great deal and in abundance in our communities is accountability and responsibility. We're going to have to start being very honest with each other and say there is a reason why this generational situation, I'm not even going to call it a generational curse, this generational situation keeps happening because it is something that is passed down from generation to generation. It ceases to amaze me when I'm sitting down with individuals in my profession and all of a sudden, this is what really gets me. When you allow little Jane or little Johnny to be the menace to our community, the menace. I mean, they're up there fighting everybody. They're picking at everybody. They're bullying everybody. They always want to either jump on somebody, talk bad to somebody, curse somebody out. Now, long as we're telling you, listen, little Jane and little Johnny has an issue, we need you to address this issue because we can't keep them in this environment. And sooner or later, there may be some criminal charges or other things that might come to pass because of little Jane or little Johnny's action. And you're sitting there going, well, this is how I teach my child. Somebody put their hands on them, they put their hands on them back. And all this and this. Until little Jane or little Johnny finally meet their match.
Correct.
And somebody finally get sick and tired of little Jane and little Johnny. And then little Jane and little Johnny get handled bad. When little Jane and little Johnny, who's been the menace to our society for years, get handled bad, you and your whole crew of kinfolks show up talking about
victims.
Look what they did to them.
Yeah, to my baby.
To my baby. Now, hold it. First of all, the folks who are to keep the law and order, you don't want them to keep law and order unless they're keeping law and order for you.
Right. Right. The police aren't good unless you call them.
Right. Unless they're trying to make sure that your issue gets resolved. And we've got to stop that because somewhere in this society, in these days and times, and this is just my opinion, family, because I know I'm gonna get 50 million inboxes and somebody gonna say, what was wrong with you tonight? At the end of the day, here's what I really realized. A lot of us are really selfish as hell. And it's all about us. It ain't about nobody else. It ain't about the greater good. It ain't about a lot of us wave that banner of community activists. I'm about to. No, you're really about yourself. You really about your people. You really about your agenda. You really about what's best for you. You really about your pockets. You really ain't about what's the greater good for everybody. You really about you.
I have a problem when we start to say that I don't know how our children got to be a certain way. You look within the household and you will see how our children are the way they are. We have these overindulged, entitled generation to the point to where as an employer, I see people coming through the door with 0 skills, but want maximum pay.
Say that again.
Only because my mama said, well, your mama should pay you. Because as of right now, I have to spend at least 50% of your salary training you, teaching you how to do this job. But we believe, because I've always been given, and I'm from this just add water, microwavable society, that I should get it for no other reason other than I want it. And when I don't get it, it's something wrong with you, not me. So I sit back and I look at how we have point the finger at so many environmental factors, or the reason that the generation of children that are coming up are the way that they are. The reason they're the way they are is because they're raising themselves. We don't want to do the dirty work.
Correct.
We care more about being our children's friends than we do being their parents.
Right. We, like you said, we don't want to do the dirty work. At the end of the day, you either going to come out bitter or better. Make there be some purpose to all this pain. But we want to take the easy road. At the end of the day, here's what Caesar, you're right. You're so right with what you just said. You know, first of all, the biggest problem, and it starts with the parents.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately, we wind up having two imperfect people who make another person, and we want that other person that we made to be so perfect. Now, here's the crazy thing. Anything good about them, depending on who the parents are, depending on if the parents are together, and they don't have to be together. They can be together or not together. I always notice this. Well, when little Jane or Johnny act bad, he got that from your side of the family. When little Jane or Johnny, when little Jane or Johnny does good, winds up valedictorian or solicitor, oh, they got that from my side of the family. You know, so hold it. Wait a minute. We got to wake up here, family, because what we wind up doing is we wind up transferring a certain style of understanding. You know what? I'm trying to stop, but I got to. Tonight, y'all gonna get it tonight. Y'all gonna get it tonight because I'm giving it to myself. When I look at my children and I see the good, the bad, and the ugly, I know that the good, bad, and the ugly came from a mixture of two sets of DNA. My DNA and their mother's DNA. And the truth about it is, everything about me ain't Peachy King, but everything about me ain't doo-doo either. So at the end of the day, and so is the same about their mother. You know, so at the end of the day, it's a combination of this mixture. And we got to understand that everything bad don't come from one side, everything good don't come from one side.
That's right.
And we've got to start doing better about making our children understand the mistakes we've made, because that is a pothole roadmap that they don't have to hit the same potholes in life that we hit. I hate when parents say, go ahead and let them go through it. Hell, I went through it. They need to go through it too. Your job as a parent is that they don't go through all the hell you went through, and they have a better life than you have. And if you can't do that, then don't have babies. Don't have babies.
If we start making folks need licenses, like you need a license to drive, you need a license to be a parent, we'll see a big difference. I tell folks all the time, I'm gonna bring in some more of the self-disclosure of my own self. I had a conversation with my son about, maybe about a year ago at this point, and he told me I need to talk to you. And I went down, and him and I were talking, and he said, I want to thank you for everything you did. He said, you used to always tell me you won't understand until you become a parent.
Come on.
He said, Daddy, I be wanting to stay up with him and play video games with him and do all of this stuff with him, but I got to tell him to go to bed because they got to go to school the next day. He said, just like you. I said, son, you remember when I used to tell you I have to do what's right instead of doing what's popular?
Come on.
What's popular for you would be me and you sitting up here and eating this whole gallon of Bluebell ice cream.
Right.
Tomorrow, you ain't going to feel better, and I'm going to be on the toilet the whole damn day.
Right.
So I'm going to give you a little bit and I'm going to get a little bit and we're going to call it a night. I had to do what was right, not what's popular. And he said, that's exactly what I'm doing. I would love to just stay up with him and play. I love being with him and laughing with him. And he said, but I got to put them to bed because they got to go to school. I understand now why you did the things that you did as my dad. And he sat in the car and he started to cry. He was like, I get it. He's 40. And he didn't understand when he was 15 and 12 and then 13. And he wanted to do what he wanted to do and couldn't understand this whole concept of responsibility, accountability. We have children growing up today, coming out of the home, coming into institutions of higher learning, HBCUs, and they expect us to be their parents and not their instructor.
Right.
I had one student tell me, oh, I ain't bothered doing those assignments. Why you gave me a D? I said, you know what's the correct statement? I gave you a D because you earned an F. Well, I mean, I just have a lot of stuff to do. How y'all expect us to do all of this work? And then and I'm looking at her like, wow. She truly expected to receive a passing grade without doing any of the work. Where did that ideology come from? Where did she learn that? Somewhere throughout her life, that ideology had been perpetuated and she bought into it and is living it every day.
Because we're too busy making excuses and we have not been taught how to make the proper adjustments. It's easy for me to complain and whine. It is hard for me to put in the work that's needed on self, to put self in a position that self wins. It's easier for me to blame everybody than to make the proper adjustments in my life to make sure that I win, and not only I win, everybody around me win. But we're so busy making excuses. We are in an excuse-driven society. Everybody, oh, it's po me, oh, po me, oh, please feel sorry. This is the crazy thing. People, you brought up something earlier about the ingredients. I want also folks to catch this. Folk will always want you to pay full price for them and their service, but they always want to pay you a discounted price,
they
for you and your service. Right. When it is them getting from you, they want the full price. But when it is them having to give to you, they want it at a discounted price. We got to stop that. I don't mind paying full price, but understand this: if I pay you your full price, you're gonna pay my full price.
Exactly. Why do we always expect something for nothing?
Right.
Why do we as humans look for the easier way through a situation? I had a client a while back, and he came to me through the court system. Now, Brother Dupree, when I found out why he came to me, I couldn't do nothing but laugh. This brother was Hispanic, and his English was okay, but it wasn't the best. And he came to me for this reason. He got arrested on 2 or 3 different occasions. So they thought he was crazy. Have you ever been driving and you see in the median a tree, and then in the tree there's string coming from this tree, and it's stuck into the ground? And most people say it keeps the tree straight and things like that. Well, this brother was going around town with his knife and he was cutting the strings off all of these trees. And the people kept arresting him for vandalism. And the city would go back and tie the string to the trees. During our session, do you know what I learned, Brother Dupree?
Talk to me.
This is what this brother said. He said, when a tree has that string on it, when the wind blows, the string holds the tree, not the strength of the inside the tree. He said, so the tree does not develop the strength that it needs once you cut that string to keep itself up when the storm comes.
Wow.
He said, so I'm cutting the strings so that the trees can grow stronger from the inside. And I said to myself, did you ever tell the city that's why you were doing it? And he was like, I don't talk English real well. He said, what's going to happen is these trees are going to grow real tall. But the minute a storm comes over, it's going to blow the tree over because it did not develop the strength on the inside that it needed. And I looked at this dude and I was like, do you understand how profound what you're saying is? Someone needs to hear that. We have so many cushion for our children that's around them that they're not developing the strength that they need
on the inside. Come on.
To deal with the world that they're getting ready to go out into.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they sit there and they're doing this all day long.
Come on.
And then when they go for an interview and they have to communicate, they have to converse, and they sing it, huh? What you say, dog? What I say, dog?
Right. What? Because we have not prepared them for the real world.
No.
See, if those of you who are from the Matrix and understand or those who watch the Matrix,
pill, you kept the red pill.
Right. You know, there is the real world and then there's the Matrix. You know, and here's the thing. A lot of stuff can happen in the Matrix and you can live a holly golly life, but it's not the real. See, in the real world, real things happen. And we've got to start preparing our children. We have to start, some of us, even at the ages that we are, some of us in our 40s, our 50s, our 60s, we have to unlearn what we have learned to continue to survive in the climate that we're surviving in. Because the truth about the matter is, it ain't over till it's over. And to me, I'm going to be learning until I get called home. You know, I don't want to be the smartest. See, that's another thing we got a problem of. Some of us want to be the smartest person in the room. We want to be the big kahuna. We want to be the big shark, the big dog, the big this, the big that. The truth about it is, I don't mind being one of the individuals that's in there in sponge mode, learning from others to try to get.
I don't know who it was that said it. If you're the smartest person in the room, you need to go to another room.
Right. You in the wrong room.
You're in the wrong room.
You're in the wrong room. And some of us want to be in the wrong room because some of us want to be the center of attention. You know, I know people who will not do, if they're not at the head table, if they're not, and this is the crazy thing. Now, mind you, and I'm gonna say this because I'm about to rub some folk really the wrong way who don't like me, and they're gonna be our first time, brother. And they're gonna be real upset in a second here.
Our first time.
You know, I've been in this media game 30 plus years. I started off when I was in my teens in high school with God bless her soul, she's passed on to glory, with Miss Denise LaSalle. Miss Denise was a good friend of my mother's. And my mother said, this boy talk a lot. I can't shut him up. And she said, well, me and my husband have a radio station. We might need to see how well he talks. And you know, she loved the way I spoke. She used me to do the kids menu for high school. And I did all the kids stuff. And that's how I really got my start in media and radio. And I've worked for her. I've worked for people like Doug Banks. I've worked for Tom Joyner. I've worked for an assorted group of folk in media. And I'm still learning a great deal when it comes to media. Here's what really gets me. When I meet folks who ain't even have the time or put in the time or been around some of the great people I've been around. One of the people I grew up under was Gil Scott-Heron.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Jackson,
Greatest
Tennessee.
minds in music, man.
Gil was a mastermind in music, but he was a poet expert, and he knew how to flow and do certain things. And he lived there in Jackson, Tennessee, with his grandmother, and she knew my mother. And there was times I get to see. Now I was a little small juvie, but I would watch that dude with his flow. His flow was fantastic. But here's what really gets me: when I meet folks who ain't been the places I've been, seen the things I've seen, but they tell me all the time how they big dogging it. And I'm looking at them going, even in all my 30 years, I still try to say, I haven't seen everything, I haven't did everything, and I still got a lot to learn.
Mm-hmm.
I still got a lot to learn. Stop acting like you have arrived.
Right.
Humble yourself. Some of us need to really humble ourselves.
Well,
Go ahead, brother.
We can't humble ourselves when the only measuring stick we use is ourselves. Sometimes you got to surround yourself with people that's a little bit bigger than you, so you can really get a true measuring stick of where you are. I've been playing sports my entire life, and I remember one day there was this brother. That dude used to torment me and harass me, and it was the end of practice, and we did what they called the bull ring.
Come on.
And everybody in the circle, and we clapping, and the coach said, "We got anybody that got any problems? You handle it in the middle of the bull ring." And this dude jumps in the middle of the ring, and he says, "I know none of y'all don't like me because I pick on y'all and I give y'all a hard time to go." He said, "But if you got a problem with me, step out here right now." To the whole team. Brother Dupree, I sat there and I must have counted 30. I said, "Ain't nobody gonna jump. I can't take no more of this cat right here." I jumped out there. I said, "I got a problem with you." And that's the last thing I remember. This dude hit me so hard, he knocked me completely out. And when I woke up, I was laying in the coach's room, in the coach's office. and look, the coaches was laughing. They said, "Man, he knocked you out, dude." So after, they checked me out, made sure I was okay, and they didn't do no concussion protocol and all that stuff, I go out into the locker room and everybody lifted weights. And when I walked out, they bust out laughing. This dude walked up to me and he said, "You got some heart, man." He said, "All of these dudes that's laughing at you, they don't like me either. But ain't none of them going to say nothing to me." He said, "You got some heart. You're going to be a good football player." And he took me under his wing, taught me technique, taught me how to play the game, taught me how to be smart on the field. I had to surround myself in an unsafe environment from where I could hang out with the other freshmen.
Come on.
None of the other freshmen was a threat, but this dude was a junior. Once I started to put my little fish self in the big pond, the only thing to be done was get ate by the big fish or become a big fish.
Right.
But I couldn't become a big fish with the other little fish.
Right.
So what we have to do today is start to make excellence a part of who we are.
Correct.
And what we are.
Correct.
Excellence does not come easy. Excellence is not something that you can do by putting junk in and expecting excellence out. It don't work that way.
Right. I mean, we've got to start understanding this. There's a reason why in scripture it says you reap what you sow. You can't put bad in and not expect bad out.
And get bad and get good out. Right.
Right. You can't sit there and say, okay, and we really got to start waking up and saying to ourselves, what are we doing to help cultivate for the greater good? Another thing, I really don't do what I do so much for me. I do it because why would I help someone else? Well, maybe my child might be in need of help one day.
Sometimes
Karma
is real. You get
right.
back what you put out.
I mean, we really got to wake up as a people. I believe we got everything we need within ourselves to get ourselves where we need to be. And
Yeah.
I think the problem is that all these years of slavery, all these years of all this slave doctrine, all these years of us being told that we're less than has
Mm.
really taken our toll on us as a people, where we really don't believe that we can really do what we say we can do. And we really have to almost pep talk ourselves just to get up and get out of bed in the morning.
Let me ask you something, brother Dupree, and I
Talk
was
to me.
sitting around with some of the greater minds at the university, and this is what I asked. Simple question.
Okay.
Do you believe there is anything that we have not seen as a people?
Wow. That's deep.
Yeah. Is there anything that has not been done to us as a people?
Mm.
From our coming to this country to where we are in 2022. The
Wow.
only thing we have not seen is a pandemic.
Right.
As far as treatment of us as a race of individuals, do you believe there is anything that we have not been through?
Wow.
Resource deprivation, the theft of name, culture, ideas, the mistreatment of our women and children and men. And is there anything that has not been seen? I tell you, there is not. Yet we continue to put out doctors, lawyers, educators, some of the greatest minds in the world amidst all of the travesty we've been through. But then we still like to look back at what we've been through as a reminder of what we've overcome. That's what we got to do. But when we start sitting here being and doing the things that were done to us to ourselves, so what, if that's not mental illness, I don't know what is.
Right.
We are our own worst enemy at times. And we have to get beyond that. We have to get to the point where we step back and we say, you know what? We are divine by nature. We are meant to be exceptional. I'm not going to react. We started this podcast by saying we are in control of how we react to certain stimuli.
Correct.
You are no longer going to marginalize, you're not going to demean, undermine me as an individual because of my race or anything about me physically. I am what I am because this is what I chose to be.
Right. Oh. Now that's bookmark that. Now that sums up everything in a nutshell. Family, it's about choice. You are where you at because of the choices you have made. Now listen, some of us have been dealt some funky cards, but still you could have played them cards and came out with a positive hand. So at the end of the day, you got to look at the choices you've made, because people will do what people do. People, listen, I have 50 million cliche sayings in my tool belt, and I pull them out all the time. First of all, people want you to do good, but they don't want you to do better than them.
Nope.
Okay, but you got to come back to understanding this. Do you know yourself? And understand this. You've got to put yourself in a position that your standard is your standard. Your standard might not be my standard. Your standard might be a nice house in a nice neighborhood with a nice car.
Mm-hmm.
My standard might be a mansion with 2 or 3, but that doesn't mean your standard is lesser than mine or mine is lesser than yours.
Mm-hmm.
Material things are just that. They're material things. And if you're willing to put in the work, guess what? Anybody can drive a Bentley if they're willing to put in the work to get a Bentley.
Get a bunch of stuff.
Okay, anybody can get the stuff. Here's where you impress me. If I come back 2 years later and you still you have either upgraded the stuff that you got or you have maintained the stuff that you got. Because anybody can get the stuff, but it takes a hell of a person to upgrade or to maintain. Because a lot of folks can get, but a lot of folks wind up getting and losing.
Yeah.
The question is, can you get and upgrade? When I see you the next time, hold that, you might have started off with a Bentley. Now you're in a Phantom Rolls Royce. You done upgraded. Okay. Or can you maintain? Is that Bentley still looking like the same Bentley that you got when you got it off the lot? Or all of a sudden does that Bentley look like it's Bentley? It's bent with a lead, So the question to me is,
that's funny.
You getting stuff don't mean nothing. And then here comes another thing that we got to really address. And I'm on a roll right now, and we about to get to the end of the show, but we got to get to this. We got to stop downplaying intelligence and upplaying criminality. It seems to be everybody wants to be the gangster, but nobody wants to be the next scientist. They don't want to be the next Laurel scholar, but everybody want to be Ghost. Don't hold it. Everybody want to be Ghost. Don't nobody want to be Urkel. And I don't get that sometimes. I'm like, what the hell going on here? So we got to wake up, family. We got to wake up. Don't nobody want to be the next great mind. Everybody wants to be the next great gangster. Everybody wants to be the next great El Chapo. They want to be the next big time dope dealer. The next big time, everybody in the hood respect me. Everybody trying to be somebody on Power, somebody on this, somebody on that. Ain't nobody trying to be the next Hidden Figures.
We as people, this is just the bottom line. Bad is good and good is bad. I remember being in school and the dude was like, y'all, she said we get around. We in school and the dude that gets suspended, he was most popular cat. Man, look, you something else, man. You a fool. See you in 3 days. But the dude who was making the good grades, those are the ones that you pick on. Those are the ones that you gave a hard time to. So I think at this point, what we need to do is get to the point and prioritize what's important.
Right.
What's important to us as a people, because guess what? We can look at the drug dealers and they putting prison on the stock market.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? They making prison big money.
Right. They privatizing prisons because of what's going on.
So we're at the point now where we're getting to know what we're truly made of amidst adversity.
Right.
When adversity hits, it shows you what you're made of. So we look at students who come into institutions of higher learning, and because we as Black folks hold them to a higher standard, I'm going to go to a PWI because over there they're more organized. What do you mean?
Right.
Do you understand that I know your name?
Hold on.
If you go to the PWI, you're going to be a number.
Malcolm said it best. Who taught you to hate you? You got to understand, it's the PWI who told you to hate you. It's the PWI that said, okay, watch this. I believe you can like me, you can leave me, you can love me. But I believe the following. I believe that one day we're going to have our own Fab Five at an HBCU level that's going to raise holy hell with the Power Fives. I believe that. I believe it. Now, hold up. Now, watch this. Now, let me. And
we're on the way to doing it.
Let me give you my disclaimer. I was believing that long before Deion Sanders showed up at Jackson State University. So hold on. But let me give Coach Prime his props. Coach Prime has brought back the resurgence of people looking at HBCUs and saying there was a tsunami that hit Black sports, and it was the transfer portal, which really wasn't invented to help us. But thank God that a person like Coach Prime came in and exposed how we could use the transfer portal to our advantage to even out the playing field. And I got to give him props from that. But I can't give him props without going back to some of the originators like Coach Eddie Robb
Of course, that's right.
and like the dean of the SWAC, who before there was a transfer portal, they still had teams that could rock and roll with the best of them.
Well,
So
you know, the thing it boils down to is what Dion has done, and people always, oh, Coach Prime. Blacks, being a black athlete myself, you want to know why these black kids didn't come to HBCUs? Exposure.
come
They
on.
did not get the exposure at HBCUs that they get at the Power Five,
Right.
SECs, the
At the
Pac-10.
Alabama, at the
Right. So
Alabamas, at the
now,
Ole Miss, at the
that's right.
at the LSUs, at the
Correct.
Floridas,
Correct.
at the Texas, at the
Correct.
Oklahomas. Come
But
on.
now, like Coach Prime said, we don't want to be on ESPN3. We want to be on ESPN1 at 12 o'clock on Saturday.
Correct.
And that's what is happening now with HBCUs. When he said, you look at Jackson State and Southern can bring 70,000 people like it's nothing.
Right.
And you mean to tell me we can't be on
Right.
ESPN1?
We got higher attendance than some Power 5 schools.
So now we're getting the exposure so that kid that was going to go to Florida State says, hold on a minute. If I go to Alabama A&M, they on ESPN, they on ABC, they on NBC.
Correct.
I can still get seen. And I'm going to end it like this. As Shannon Sharp said, if you good enough, they'll find you.
Right. Hold it. No matter what school you go. And listen, that's how we're closing tonight out. Listen up, family. If you have the skill set that is needed to succeed, no matter where you are planted, you shall blossom.
Yes.
That's why roses come up through the concrete. That's because if that rose is destined to become a rose and blossom, where it is planted is irrelevant. If its destiny is to grow and blossom, and you got what it takes to be who you need to be to get done what needs to be done for your greater good and for the greater good of all around you, ain't no stopping you. Ain't no stopping you. Ain't nobody can stop you. Can't nobody block you. At the end of the day, you gonna win. Man, this hour went by quick.
Yeah.
So Brother Brown, this is the part where I tell everybody why we're really here. We're here because this brother, Brother Edward J. Brown, who is really like my brother from another mother, he has an awesome business and calling into counseling, medical counseling. PositiveChoicesCounseling.org. Family, we have mental health issues that we do not want to address. We have family issues, counseling issues that we do not want to address. Many a times when we do address them, we address them with folks that don't look like us, that are not from our ethnic background, and folks that we just naturally feel for some odd reason they water colder than our water is cold. But I disagree with that. I believe that we have great clinicians who have graduated from great higher institutions of learning, like Southern, like Grambling, like a Howard, like a Hampton. There are individuals who look like you, who have been through the struggles that you have been through because they're in the same skin you in, who I feel like sometimes that's our biggest problem. We take our problems to individuals who don't know our problems because they have never been in our shoes. But go to Positive Choices Counseling Services if you have any counseling needs. And please allow this brother and his friendly staff to take care of you and help usher your mental health into a place of wellness. With that being said, Brother Brown, I'm gonna let you close this out, man.
And we started this podcast telling everybody to please do some self-inventory. Hold yourself accountable. Be responsible to self. If you're not holding yourself responsible and doing what is in your best interest, you cannot be the best you. And the purpose of this podcast was, we believe that if you take care of your mental health, if you take care of the things internally, you will be a better you. So until next week, hey man, we look forward to seeing you guys. And if nobody told you today, we love you. Peace.
That's it. We up out of here. Peace.